Here we are. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon to those of you who are in international zones. It is 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Yesterday we had beautiful weather. Today we are on the opposite end of the spectrum. Rainy, cooler day here in Charlotte, but it's making everything green, so I'm appreciating that. Here we are on day 3 of 20 trainable behavior skills that unleash greatness. We began with focus, and yesterday we dove into time, and today we are digging into energy. This is really part of these first 3. Focus or attention is another word for that. Focus, time, and energy. These are the 3 that kickstart these trainable behavior skills that unleash greatness, specifically because if you look at how you distribute your attention, how you use your time, and then today what we're going to dig into, how you create and distribute your energy. These are the holy trinity of personal resources. They are, in my observation, which is actually going to be tomorrow's skill, these are, in my observation, really the only 3 resources that you and I have at our complete and uninterrupted disposal. Distribution of our attention, the use and distribution of our time, and then the use and distribution of our energy. So these are particularly important to me. They are particularly important to you. And one of the things that I really want to do is I want to raise your attention level and maybe shake some of the beliefs up inside of you that you might have had around what's possible and what's not possible in terms of your own training. Maybe to help getting you to see that there are certain resources you must take control of. You must grab a hold of if you want to direct your life and you want to become the kind of person that you want to become moving forward. Because there's some of these, like you'll go back to focus and attention, where we'll say something got my attention. Well, the reality is you gave your attention to it. Things don't get your attention; you give your attention to stuff. You're not a victim of something taking attention from you. You made choices or the absence of some choices and gave your attention to something. And that is also part of what fuels energy. So energy, let's just jump right into this. Energy, the simple skill of energy is creating what you need, when you need it, for the purposes that you need it. That's what energy is about. It's creating what energy you need, creating it when you actually need that energy, for the purposes that energy needs to serve. It is learning at its core how to be self-reliant, to create the energy that you need and not be reliant on external circumstances or other people, your surroundings or your setting, to provide the energy that you need when you need it for the purposes that you need it. And this notion of self-reliance is, I think, one of the biggest parts to understand within energy. Here's why. If you are reliant on anything outside of you, including anyone else, to provide you the energy that you need in order for yourself to be right, that puts you in a very unstable position. Because the things around you and the people around you are not always going to provide you with the energy that you need to do what you need to do, or they won't provide it when you need it. The only truly reliable way to handle energy is to be self-reliant on creating the energy that you need and when you need it. And so that's the starting point. My objective for this kind of skill around energy is self-reliance. And this is a particularly important time to be digging into this because I think this is one of the most important times to ever work on energy, because you are in such a position right now that you need to create energy. The energy around us and in our homes and in our workplace and in the country, and like it's so unstable right now, and it can pull and push you in so many directions, and the people in your homes and the people that you work with and your teammates. So the ability to provide yourself the right energy, regardless of what's going on around you, is massively important right now, specifically because of the craziness that's going on and the unreliability of it. It's actually pretty volatile right now. So the first thing, how do you create energy? Move. Okay. In order to create energy, you have to move. You have to start. Do not get this confused. Do not think that you create energy standing still, then you move. It's not how it works. The best way to create energy is to start. It's to move. Now you have created some energy. Any kind of movement creates good energy. And this can be done in any number of ways, right? I look at the notes in the book, right? You see, by the way, if you look at my notes here, right? If you look in the Essential 2020 Guide to Self-Awareness, Self-Control, and Self-Confidence, you'll see the statement in here. Throw off the covers, pick up the pen, put on your workout clothes. Say the first words of the conversation you need to have. Move. Right? That's how you create energy. So creating that energy, it starts with action, okay? And then recognize that energy fuels everything. So if we know how to create it, which is some kind of a movement, you're going to have to decide what movement that needs to be, and it'll change day to day. But then recognize that energy is fuel, right? Energy fuels everything, but it particularly fuels attitude and action, okay? So creating the energy is the fuel that feeds what it is that you are doing on a daily basis. And that's why with the right energy, it feels like anything is possible. And almost anything is possible with the right energy. But without the right energy or with the wrong energy, even the simplest stuff feels impossible. And I'm not at all. I'm not into motivation. Okay, I'm just not. I'm not into motivation. I think there are dozens of better tools and there are dozens of better words to use than motivation. I am into energy because energy is real. We feel it, we sense it, and it actually even physically moves through our body. So I don't care whether you create motivation, because I think motivation is fairy dust, right? I think it's a puff of smoke. Energy, that's a real thing. Right? That's something that's in your veins. That's something that's pumping. And when you feel it, you feel it. But I need you to be able to create the kind of energy that you need. Not just energy, period, but the kind of energy in the kind of moments when it's necessary. So let's talk about how we go about and do that. All right? The first one. Actually, there was one more thing I have in my notes that I want to make sure I say. And this will move us into self-awareness. Self-aware of energy. Energy is a choice, not a condition. Okay? Energy is something that is better to create than it is to catch. Why? If you catch it, well, then you're going to get whatever is sent to you. Right? So if somebody is sending you good energy, that's fun. The example I use of that is, when somebody has their first kid, or when somebody's getting married, or when you're in a stadium and your team is winning, that energy is the fun kind to catch. And we love that. And it's not that we don't want ever to catch it. It's this. It's that there's those moments, but then there's moments where somebody's in a bad mood. There's moments where somebody is disappointed. There's moments where we have to deliver hard news to somebody, and we don't, because their energy gets so bad and so negative that we don't want to catch it or be around it, and so we avoid it, right? Or we're in a house with somebody who has bad energy, and it's just really super awkward. Next thing you know, your energy is going down because theirs is going down. Both of those exist, and so if you're catching energy, you're susceptible to both, and sometimes both of them can push us into directions we don't want to go in. So What I want you to do is I want you to look at two things, okay? I want you to look at one, energy is something you choose, not a condition that you're in. Put yourself in the driver's seat. Two, energy is better to create than it is to catch. Be a creator of energy, not a catcher of energy, right? Those are the first two pieces. Now let's move over into self-awareness, self-control, and self-confidence, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A. The first question around knowing yourself, the self-awareness, is know what is your energy doing to you and what is your energy doing for you, right? Treat it like a diagnostic initially. What's energy doing to you and what is your energy doing for you? Not the outside energy, okay? Not the outside energy, your internal energy. Draw a line. There's energy outside, there's energy inside. You're going to remember that energy is a choice. It is not a condition, and it is better to create than it is to catch. And so don't worry about the energy outside you. Look inside you. Self-awareness, know yourself. What is your energy doing to you? What's it doing for you? And then you ask yourself two questions. What feeds my energy? What drains my energy? Okay? Internal factors that feed your energy and drain your energy. Because the external world is always going to have 1,000 things going on. You are going to choose what to give attention to. And then when those things get inside of you, because you've given them your attention and your time, those things then get converted into things you do that feed energy and drain energy. For example, if you watch Fox News or MSNBC, right? I'll pick a bipartisan dual news channels. If you watch one or the other, and then by giving it your attention and your time, that it comes in and then you get angry about it because you are fixating it, you're doing something that drains energy because you've now created the energy because you gave it your attention first. Do you see how that flow works? And then next thing you know, you're upset and you're angry because you are internally telling yourself a story about something you didn't like based on what you watched, okay? So if those things are feeding energy that is disruptive for you, you've got to recognize that it's not energy that is helping you. It's not energy feeding who you want to be and how you want to feel, which means you probably are going to have to make choices about what you're giving your attention to and focusing on, where you're using your time, because it's teeing you up for you to make energy decisions that aren't helping you, okay? It's not doing good things to you or good things for you, and it is your choice. You're not catching it. You're choosing your way into that. Also, you can do it the other way around, right? What feeds really good energy is when you are improving yourself, when you feel like you're in a good amount of struggle, not too much, not too little. I feed energy, that's for me. I feed energy when I feel like I'm in a very healthy amount of struggle. I like to be there. And my healthy amount of struggle is probably higher than most. And that's just self-awareness for me. If I'm not struggling with something, that drains me of energy because I feel like I'm in a rut and on too much of a routine. So that's what you have to figure out for yourself. What's it doing to you and for you, your energy, and then what feeds that energy and what drains that energy within yourself. And then I want you to move on to self-control. And now we're going to move on to owning yourself and controlling yourself within energy. And I think this comes down to identifying the valuable moments in your day, the important moments in your day, and then skillfully, strategically, intentionally choosing the energy that you want to bring to those moments and acting on it. Okay, what that looks like is, for me, I start my day, you can see right back here. I've got a chair back here, and I start my day in a reflective and contemplative, it's an odd word to say, in a reflective and slow, contemplative, deep place. That's where I start my days, right? I start it in the dark, in this room with a little light on, and I'll read something, my notes, a book, or something, and I want to go deep, slow, thoughtful. My mind isn't quite racing yet. I don't want get after it. I don't want strategic planning. I don't want that. That energy of my day, that first 30, 60 minutes of my day, it's a choice. I think I naturally move that direction, but I choose my way into that. Whereas when I'm doing these, I create a very different kind of energy. There's nobody in this room. I am by myself. You all are watching this right now. A bunch of you live, and a bunch of you are going to be watching the recorded version of this. My energy has to be created by myself with no audience here, looking through a computer screen to send it all to you. And that's a harder task than most people appreciate. So I have to know how to create energy in this moment that is very different than the energy I had, say, 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. And then I have to go switch this energy to something else later on. So picking the time of your day, not just time like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, but picking the moments and then understanding what kind of energy you want and need to bring to that moment is critical. Because if you're not making that choice, it's very hard to go through the act of creating it, and then it's very difficult to actually act on the energy that you need. So what I want you to have is I want you to be able to recognize the moment, choose the energy, and then I want that energy to be there when that moment arrives so you can act on it, so that you're not having a mismatch of a moment that needs a certain energy, but you either have the wrong kind or the wrong amount, and now you're trying to act your way through a moment with mismatched energy for what's required, okay? Most people do not think like this, okay? Choose and move. Choose the energy you want for the moment that's required and move into it. Most people don't do that. Most people allow energy to get dictated. So if you do this, you will be ahead of 99% of the crowd. If you do this, you are going to give yourself a massive advantage ahead of 99% of people. And it'll be frustrating, okay, which you'll have to work through on your own energy. When you make this choice and you are in control of your energy and you watch how many people are not, it will be frustrating, maybe even people close to you. Don't judge them. Don't get angry. Frustration is natural, but go back, readjust your focus, work on empathy, which we're going to get into later, and then reset your energy. Make sure you are in control of you and trust that as you choose the right energy and display it, people are going to feel that from you. And they're going to, some people will take advantage, but most people, they're going to pick up some of that energy from you. And if they are going to catch energy, make sure that they're catching the right energy from you because you're providing it for yourself and you got some to spare for others, okay? So the two things that I like to ask in self-control, two questions. Number one, what are my ways to create energy? And I'd like you to answer that for yourself. What are my ways to create energy? How do you move to create energy that you need? And then number two is what kind of energy is valuable or necessary for me to create? So the two questions. What's my way to create energy? One. Two, what kind of energy is important or necessary for me to create? Because not all energy is the same. Like I said, I start with more of a reflective type energy, and then I have to move into an enthusiasm and confidence kind of energy, which I would that's what this energy is. Other energy is, maybe appreciative or grateful or loving or resilient and tough. There's different energies that are required, and everybody's role requires different kinds of energy and the multiple roles that we play. So what is your way to create energy, your ways, and then what kind of energy do you need to actually create for the roles that you have? And then the last one, believe in yourself. Maybe the most important part of this, and then we'll jump into Q&A. People get overwhelmed because of their fear of sustaining energy over time, okay? Just had an update of some kind, click on my computer. People lose energy and they actually inject a ton of bad energy into themselves because they are doubtful that they can sustain energy over time. And it is the exact wrong way to go about it, okay? With love, don't do that. It's wrong strategically, not morally. Here's why. You don't have to sustain energy. All you have to do is choose the energy, move, start, and act. That's it. You don't need to sustain any amount of energy. You just need to choose the energy that you need or want right now. That's it. That's all you have to do. But don't worry about sustaining energy next week. Just focus on choosing energy right now. Because the self-doubt of sustaining energy, good energy, injects bad energy in the moment, and it literally crushes and kills your momentum from the very beginning. And so this is just something that all kinds of people struggle with, is this fear of sustaining the energy over time. And the best thing I can tell you is create the energy now. Get going now with no fears, no concerns, and frankly, no attention given to the energy needed later. You have plenty of time. Here's a great way to think about it, and this is in the book. If you can do it now, you can do it later. If you can do it once, you can do it twice. And if you can do it today, you can do it on any future day. So as long as you are choosing the energy now, as long as you are choosing the energy once, and as long as you are choosing energy today, have complete and total confidence that you can do it on any other moment, any other day, any other choice. Now all of a sudden, all of that fear and doubt of sustaining energy goes away. And then here's the mindset. I mentioned this before. You don't have to sustain energy. You just have to choose and move. That's it. That right there will keep you in the right place of energy whenever you want it. Because with the right energy, anything is possible. And with the wrong energy, even the most basic stuff feels impossible. And so that's the core of this that I wanted to make sure that we walk through. So that being said, and you can see, I love doing this, by the way, because I get my own notes in this essential guide. My notes get so full, and I break down the mindset and the action required for each of these skills, not only for you all, but for myself. And I'm just loving this whole process, frankly. I am having a ton of fun, and I hope that you are too. Question. Well, first of all, thank you everyone from Phoenix to Columbus to Alexandria, Sherman, Texas in the house. And it looks like probably, let me see, Christiansen from Norway. All right, I love it. Fantastic. Appreciate Andy from my team, our team, coming in and helping to moderate some of the chat. A couple questions to jump into. First from Trey. Starting a high school leadership class next year, where can I get that simple skills guidebook that I held up earlier? This one right here. Trey and everybody, this is available inside the Daily Discipline community for anybody who subscribes to the community and the paid version of the community. In the resources, not only is this book in there, but I'm also going to be putting in a slide deck for each of these skills that you can present. So say, for example, Trey, the reason I'm doing this is for people like you who want to teach these behavior skills, but you want something more than, fuzzy words and catchphrases. You actually want the concrete applicable mechanics. Not only is it in a book fashion, but it is, I'm going to be putting it into a slide fashion where you can take, say, today's and say, how do I present this to somebody? And I'm going to make the slides for you with the breakdowns, the skills, the mechanics, the examples, including even the worksheets that you can provide to people. And so that's where you can get it, in the Daily Discipline community. You can find that at dailydiscipline.com/community. And then obviously once in there are resources that you can dig into. And this is just one of them, right? There's a ton of resources that are in there. I do videos every day. I do Mission Monday, Timeless Tuesday, WTF Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, Fire Pit Fridays, and those are exclusive to the members of the Daily Discipline community who have subscribed there. Okay, Jorgen, how do I create or rev up the right energy for the right moment and audience when you feel down or unfit? Great question, probably the primary question, and that is this. Let's keep it very simple. I'm going to go back to what I said before so that we're not adding new stuff before we've executed the simplicity. One is I recognize that energy is a choice, not a condition. So when I feel a certain way, I am not going to be limited by that condition I feel. I'm going to make a choice. So I feel all kinds of different ways throughout the day. I feel a certain way when I wake up at 5 a.m. I feel a certain way at the end of the day when I land from a 6-hour cross-country flight and drive home, and I get here at 7:45 and my kids are getting ready for bed. And I haven't seen my wife in 5 days, right? I feel a certain way. But from there, I don't treat it like a condition. I make it a choice. That's number one. Number two is I move. I do, right? I hug my wife. I change my clothes, and I move up the stairs with some physical movement. I hustle up, right? I pick my kids up and I tickle them. I do something, anything that moves me towards the activity with the energy that I need to have. And until you're doing that on a consistent basis, don't worry about the rest. Not a condition, a choice, and then move. Do anything that gets you moving. The easiest thing I tell people who say, I don't feel like working out, it's very simple. Put on your workout clothes, right? If you're like, I don't feel like working out, okay, that's fine. Put your workout clothes on. Put on your shirt, put on your shorts, put on your gym shoes. What have you done? You've moved, you've made a choice, and you have progressed towards working out without actually doing it. And what happens is, more often than not, once you put all your workout clothes on, you're going to work out. Now, if you don't, that's okay. If you put all your workout clothes on and then you take a nap in your Nikes, that's fine, okay? Because more often than not, you're not going to do that. More often than not, you can always put your workout clothes on. So there's no excuse for that. You either make that choice or you don't. But from there, you're just not going to take a nap very often. And if you do, chalk it up to just the learning process of how to create energy. That's part of the pathway. More often than not, you're going to do at least 5 minutes of a workout because you learned how to create 5 minutes of energy. Fantastic. Next time, create 6 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and give yourself a runway to get better at this. That's how you do it. What is one way to prepare for unleashing the energy? Competitively, it depends on the environment. I was a football player, so unleashing energy was big in football. But I also watched a lot of guys in football that had so much energy pent up that it turned into nerves, it turned into sloppy play, it turned into they couldn't listen and hear. They got completely crowded by emotion. Emotion does a lot of stuff to us, right? When emotion goes up, clarity goes down. So, I think we have to be careful about unleashing the energy. I prefer more to be less of a fire hose of energy, and I prefer more to be like a stream, right? Like think of it like if you have a hose in your garden. We've got one of these and it's got the turn, right? It's got the spigot when it has all the different kinds. I think energy is like that. I think energy is something where you got to look at the situation and the purpose that you need, and then what kind of energy do you need to provide, in the same way that you're going to turn the nozzle of the hose to the right kind of spray or distribution of water for the purposes that you have. And I think that's the right way to do it, is the choice and the moment, and that's the self-control side. Recognize the moment, what kind of energy do I need, what amount, and make a lot more intentional, strategic, disciplined choices about the energy you create and how you get it across. Right? I'm learning that right now in golf. The competitive energy that I brought to football doesn't work for golf in a lot of ways. And so I actually have to distribute my energy differently and choose it differently, including the kind I have, to compete in golf than I did in football. And it's a very different mindset. And I'm enjoying it because it's a struggle for me. And I'm learning a lot about how to compete in a different approach and mindset. A couple more questions. Okay, what's up, Wyoming? I see Wyoming in the house. How do I redirect in the presence of energy from others that isn't working for you? The first thing I do when I'm in the presence of energy that isn't working for me is I make sure that my energy is right. I lock down my energy, and I compartmentalize, right? I think of it like think of it like barriers, or what's the term I'm looking for? Not a barrier. Barrier is probably the wrong word. Um, you got to set up your, maybe filters is the right word. There's a word I'm looking for that it's lost on me right now, but you got to contain within yourself the energy that you need, and then other people are going to choose their energy, and sometimes the best you can do is just let their energy be their energy, and let your energy be yours, and just separate, right? Like you just have to separate. The one thing you can't do, and I want to encourage you, I could go on this for a long time, and we're already over time a little bit here. The one thing you cannot do is you cannot ever, ever, ever sacrifice your energy because somebody's energy around you isn't good. The second you give up your energy, whoever had that bad energy won, and it is absolutely a competition. I talk about this when I discuss outlasting the cynics. Your energy is primary. Never let somebody else's energy dictate yours. Period. Absolutely. Period. I cannot stress that enough. A couple more, and then we're going to be done here. Houston, Texas in the house. What are examples of good and bad energy? I think maybe I shouldn't have used the words good and bad. I don't like good and bad. I really don't, because I think that starts to get moral, or there's like right and wrong, and there's not. You know, being thoughtful in a time where you need to be action driven doesn't work. Thoughtful and driving are both useful, but if you're driving when you need to be patient with your 3-year-old, or you are thoughtful when you need to be driving because decisions need to be made and you don't have a long window of time to make choices, different energy for different moments. So I would, and if I did this with my words, I apologize, but I would move away from good and bad, and I would move for useful and not useful for the context of the situation. That's what I would move to. But I think you would look at things like being appreciative, being reflective, being empathetic, being enthusiastic, being demanding in terms of high standards, being fun, right? I think those are all really great energies to choose. Yeah. What made me move to Carolina and start my own company? What was the energy and the fears? Well, I moved to Carolina 6 years ago when I was still the CEO of Focus 3, and actually did present some challenges being a remote CEO. I was a CEO of a company when I had none of the employees that were on our team were actually in Carolina near me, and so that was a particularly big challenge. And for me, the energies of starting my own company were about the energies was about ownership of direction. The energy was about creativity. The energy was about mission, and focus was a big part of my energy. But anytime you start a business, there's also the weight of that. There's that ownership comes with consequences, and seeing what those are, and the responsibilities that you have to the people who work with you on your team. And so all of those things go into that for me. Let's see. Anything else? Any other questions? Amy, yeah, I actually like the energy being like a garden hose and a nozzle. I can get that, and I literally that just came to me on the spot. So I'm actually probably gonna use that a lot more. I got to develop that though, because that's like 14 minutes old in terms of how often I've used that analogy. But I do think it helps understand. So, okay, fantastic. I appreciate you all, and yeah, I hope that you are creating the energy that you need, because there's a lot of wild and crazy energy that's going on out there, and I know it's difficult for a lot of you in a lot of different places, and the energy in the home, if you got little kids like I do, or you got grown kids, and if you're with a loved one or loved ones, the energy is all over the place. I hope you're creating the energy that you need for the purposes that you need it for, when you need it. And tomorrow, which we will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow as well on Friday, tomorrow we are going to dig into the simple skill of observation. See you then.